I feel very safe with you because I know that you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
Does a woman with a guy who is frail and doesn't know how to fight, do they feel that same safety? I don't know.
You could be multifaceted. You could be emotionally strong, physically strong. You could be all these things. And I think that's kind of what every man should strive for.
The traits that discipline of getting strong give you, that's really what matters so much more.
Building strength is a great controlled way to like let out all these emotions and all these feelings. What's that quote that's like, you say you do anything for your kids, but would you
live a healthier
life for them? Man, am I right?
Should men be physically strong?
Let's get into it.
The $1 million question, ain't it?
Right into it.
Ain't it?
Let's get right into it.
Should they though?
Yes.
I think the what pops to mind is yes. Everybody that I've asked so far, and I have asked a few people in preparation for this, should men be physically strong? The immediate reaction is yes.
A guttural reaction.
But I've been challenging them because if that's the case, then why are so many men not strong? Does that mean that they're less than? Does that mean that they're not as manly? And B, you can make a good argument that yes, historically men had to be strong and physical strength was required for not only work, but just to kind of like live, like to keep society going. Men had to go out and do physical things. Now, not so much. Sure, a percentage of our population has to do that. But some of them, a lot of them are just like making money on their laptop at home.
You can make a living sitting on your couch.
And we live comfortable lives, and you can make a really good argument that you don't, quote unquote, need to be physically strong. So I want to dive into all of that. Is this physical strength thing an ideal, is something of the past, or is it an ideal that men should still strive for? And if so, why?
With that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the BeFit Brothers podcast, where fitness meets common sense. As usual, I'm Victor, and that's my brother Julian. And we're here to bring you some hard-hitting facts and hard-hitting discussions like today. Should men be physically strong? Is it a requirement? I want you guys to think about it for 1 second before you listen to us.
Okay.
Awesome. We're back.
Now you have your answer.
What do you think? It's a yes, right?
Mm. Okay, so why did this topic come up?
Yeah, why did it come up?
I was having a conversation with someone who doesn't work out, and
what's her name? Just kidding.
And I was thinking of some other men came up in that conversation that also don't work out. And then when that individual asked me why I've always worked out and specifically like strength train, it started to make me reflect on what my beliefs are and what my ideals are personally, right? And of course, you carry that with you as like, okay, a man should be this, a man should be that, a woman should be this. So I started thinking that I do believe strongly that a man should be,
Now,
a man should be physically strong.
Let me preface all of this by saying we're not here to belittle anyone. If you don't work out, we're not here to shame you. If your significant other doesn't work out or lift, doesn't matter. If you're still attracted to them and they're still attracted to you, who cares? Like, it really doesn't matter. This is our point of view. So if you don't like it, I don't know, talk about it in the comments or something.
Well, the other thing is you don't have to quote unquote work out to be physically strong. You could be a farmer. You could be one of these people. I
count that as like active. Like if your significant other is not active in that field, there's not in that sense.
Yeah. So where that comes from, and I do want to get into that, is the Instagram poll that I did and some of the responses that I got. But before we get into any of that, I just wanted to kind of set the table here for why this came up. And so, like I said, I started to reflect after that conversation on my own beliefs. Like, well, why is it I've always worked out? Why is it that I believe that there needs to be this standard that like every man should strive to at least try to for self-improvement, to be physically and mentally strong? I firmly believe that one goes with the other. If you work on your body, if you do something difficult, whether it's martial arts or strength training or something like that, and you discipline your body, you train your body, it goes hand in hand with a strong mindset as well. And I believe that a man needs both.
I think everyone kind of needs both. So, I mean, we're kind of getting into the weeds there, but I do agree with you that if you're not physically prepared, if you haven't gone through these hardships, when something hard does happen to you, what are you going to do? You don't know if you're going to sink or swim. So I think it's good to be prepared. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to. And all this thing is, because we're not here to try to like, take over somebody or like pillage, like back in the day, the Vikings and stuff. All we're talking about is, for me at least, is being prepared for anything. I think that's, for me, what it comes down to.
So in your sense, it's like an insurance policy?
It's an insurance policy.
Like you don't need it, but then when you need it, I hope I have it.
When I need it, I don't want to be the guy like cowering behind the table just because I've never
But I'll
even.
push back because I think that you, specifically you, enjoy the feeling of every day of like the capableness of I can
Oh no,
do
I'm
one
not
arm
saying.
pull-ups.
Oh,
I can
I'm
do
not
these
saying
other
it's my
things.
only thing. For me,
Okay.
no, for me personally, I enjoy it. I like doing all these like silly things. I enjoy doing.
Silly things.
I enjoy doing like, going outside and climbing a tree, all these things, doing handstands, all these fun physical things that somebody that isn't active can be like, how do you do that? Or, whoa, that's impressive. It's like, for me, that's just fun. But for the general population, I think it's just good to be prepared. And it's good to feel like, hey, I can protect my home. And I don't need to be one of these guys, oh, but I have guns. Oh, big whoop, bro.
Okay,
Everybody
so
can have
I'm
a
glad
gun.
you bring that up because that is part of, now we're getting into, okay, what does it mean to be a man? So historically it was protect and provide. Those are the two main things that a man would do, definitely in the nuclear family and then in the greater community. So those two things, I still stand by that, protect and provide. Now, does that mean that a woman can't protect or provide? No, I want to get away from like talking about men does not mean anything about women. Like, we're not talking about women right now. We're talking
Yeah, that's why
specifically
I
about
said-
to be a man, because then a lot of
Yeah.
people, the pushback is like, well, why can't women do that?
you
We're not
can.
talking about women.
You can. That's it.
You
Let's
can. Yeah.
Let's just leave this there. We're just talking about men.
Exactly.
So.
So because then it gets into this whole like old school
Gender
machista
roles.
exactly,
Yeah.
of like the guy has to make more money and provide for his family. We're not talking about any of that.
Yeah.
But I do strongly feel that a man, it brings us meaning to be able to provide for our families, whether that's financially or in any other way. And for me, it's always been extremely important that you can protect.
Yeah.
And I find a sense of pride in that.
Yeah.
So that's why I can't understand, and I'm sure we'll get into it, why a man would allow himself to be weak.
Yeah.
Look,
is that
because it just doesn't.
We've always been the type to stand up for injustice. We see somebody smaller getting picked on, we're not just gonna let it happen. We see somebody taking advantage of their size over somebody, or like mistreating somebody elderly or somebody that can't help themselves. We've always been the type to help them. And how are you gonna do it if you're not physically capable? Like that for me is such a big part of it.
I guess you can, but
What are you gonna use?
you don't feel very confident in
No,
doing it
of
because
course
at the
not.
end of the day, you don't know how to fight, and you don't
You don't have the physical strength to
exactly
overpower
to
someone.
overpower someone.
Which, it's kind of necessary.
And let's get into that because from an evolutionary standpoint, men, I just want to always say that like we're animals at the end of the day. As much as sophisticated as we think we might be,
We're the smartest animals.
we are animals.
That's what it
you
is.
know. So let's think about our evolution. For the longest time, like men measured each other by like
Penis size.
penis size, of course. So for a very, very long time, men kind of showed their worth through physical capability or like the things that they could do. Like if you were the guy that was really good with the spear, like the tribe was happy. Like you're the one that's gonna bring home.
Call up Spiro.
Exactly. If you had a lot of like physical endurance, or if let's say, there was a lot of physical labor to be done and you were the one that they can count on to do that. As a matter of fact, there's still tribes around the world that still do all these rituals of like from when a boy becomes a man, they have to go through these really tough physical things. It's like, hey, you gotta prove to us
Like the Spartans.
that you're ready to be a man. Like you have to be strong. That's just the part of being a man. Like you wouldn't be any use to us if you weren't strong. So when you think about like, 99.9% of our species history, yes, the answer is obviously yes, you do have to be strong to be a man.
But I feel like things haven't changed that much. Obviously, we're not like just determining how strong people are or basing all our hierarchy on physical strength. But anywhere you slice it, anywhere you walk in, if you go into a gym, if you go into a martial arts studio, you go into your job, everybody's measuring each other on some sort of, whether it's, oh, this guy's really good at the martial art, or this guy's really good at his job. Like we're still kind of measuring each other. It's just, is it as much about physical strength nowadays?
Yeah, there are still hierarchies.
Yeah,
and historically, strength was a big part of that. Now you can make the argument, which is why I think this is an important conversation, that, well, now it's not about that so much.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like the guy with the biggest brain is the one who, like, look at them billionaires.
Yeah.
Now they're all doing jiu-jitsu, funny enough, and they're all training, but the Zuckerbergs, the Sam Altman, the Elon Musk, like, those guys are nerds.
Whoa.
Those guys are like, they are.
Bill Gates jumped over a chair.
That's true. That was an
Cool
impressive
jump.
feat. But you know what I'm saying? Like somebody else can make the argument of, well, you don't need that anymore, dude.
Would you
Like,
rather
that's
be
old school?
Yeah, would you rather be the bodybuilder or the billionaire tech CEO? It's like,
Exactly. So
no, I'm asking you.
Oh, now. The other important thing here is that strength or being strong is not it's not all about the physical. It's kind of symbolic in a way. It's more than just that, because if you've gone to be strong, that means that it shows discipline. You've committed yourself to something. You are able to do hard things, as simple as that might seem. And if you're able to do hard things over time, you build a stronger, like I said, physically and mentally person.
Yeah. Now, this doesn't mean, oh, you work out, you're automatically a good man.
Of course.
I don't want people to go into that and like, oh, but plenty of people that are heavy lifters are assholes. We're not saying that. We're just saying that, so, like you just said, if somebody is showing you that, hey, I've managed to do this for X amount of years, or I've been consistent for X amount of years, that requires mental discipline. So
yeah, those are important traits.
Yeah.
Like admirable traits, I would say.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because some of the response. So I asked my followers on social media a question. I asked how do sedentary men justify not exercising? And by the way, we're gonna talk about, we're gonna go deep into that side of it, because I want to argue both sides. I got a lot of responses, but one of the ones I got that's relevant to this is like somebody said, mental and emotional strength greater than everything else. In other words, like that's what I want out of a man. And I said, fair enough, but you didn't answer the question. I'm not talking about mental or emotional IQ or any of these other traits that are also very important.
Yeah, you're isolating
I'm talking
them.
about, it's like, I'm sure this person was already thinking like, yeah, what do I care about this big alpha meathead who I can't even talk to and doesn't know how to listen, doesn't know how to think. Like, separate those things. I promise you can have them both. You can be
multiple things.
Yeah, so one of these things doesn't negate the other.
Yeah, and I think what they're going for is that classic trope of the jock who's like machista and treats women like shit, and he's like belittling people just because they're less than him. And don't get me wrong, that guy exists, and it's very common actually. When you have those insecurities, these people tend to go extra hard at the gym and they treat other people like shit just because they're insecure about themselves. But like you said, you could be multifaceted. You could be emotionally strong, physically strong. You could be all these things, and I think that's kind of what every man should strive for.
Yes, exactly. I don't think that one thing has to do with the other. And if you are about self-improvement, then it's all encompassing.
Exactly.
It's not just strength.
Yeah.
But I would argue that, yes, for a long time, there was the archetype of the meathead who works out that isn't very emotionally intelligent and all these other things. I think that now it's flipped completely. Every high-power CEO, every high performer, every person that does like knowledge work, they don't need to be strong. They're all working out because they've realized that helps with all the other stuff. That I feel better when I wake up in the morning and do hard training. I just feel better.
I feel like there's so many caveats here, and I hate to have to keep saying it. Yes, you guys are going to say, oh, those high CEOs, that doesn't make them good people. It's like, okay, that's not what we're saying. We're just saying they happen to be successful, and they still find time, and they still want to do these difficult things, even though if somebody doesn't have to do it, it's them. Let's be honest. You know what I mean?
And I'm not talking so much about good or evil person. What I'm talking about is these people are smart enough to hyper optimize their lives. So if they're doing something, you should pay attention, because why would they do it? You know, these are the same people that like they started meditating before everybody else because they realized that there's ancient wisdom in that's going to help them think clear. They started, now that they found out that there's solid science that shows that exercise makes you think better and makes your cognitive ability better, makes you make better decisions. Well, if I'm a CEO and I'm in charge of a, multi-billion-dollar company, I need to be sharp. So all I'm saying is I'm not judging them based on their moral, anything like that. I'm just saying that the reason they're doing it is because they know it's going to help them.
I mean, and you're just talking about mental. I don't think we have to go into, after every podcast we do, the obvious physical benefits of being fit and being active and longevity and all these things that obviously you want. You don't want to just be a tech CEO or a billionaire CEO that dies at 50. You want to take care of your body. You want to be healthy. You want to live longer for your kids. All of these things come from, all of these things come from living a healthy life. And you're not going to argue with me that the emotionally intelligent man's body is under the same quality as the guy who takes care of it. It's just not. And I'm not saying
there's a lot of cope, and I'm going to go over a lot of the responses that I got from my thing. There's a lot of cope of, sometimes the guy's too busy trying to provide for his family. Okay, don't worry. I'm going to respond to that. But I wanted to mention one more thing while we're in this segment is that, I did martial arts for some time when I was a young man. And one of the things they teach you in martial arts is that you're learning all these skills to defend yourself, but you're trying your hardest to not to ever have to use them.
Yeah.
So it's having the capacity to defend yourself, having the capacity to know that you can fight, but not actually using that. So only using it as a last resort.
Which is crazy because it's like paying for an insurance policy and never expecting to use it.
Yes, but it's the confidence that you walk around with, the confidence that if I'm somewhere with my family, I have 2 young daughters, and some shit breaks down. Yeah, exactly. Some shit breaks down, I can be there too. Like, I feel confident enough that, hey, you're gonna have to work to get through me, buddy.
Yeah,
like, it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah,
I promise you that.
I can at least put up a fight.
I know what I'm doing. You know, so it's that confidence. You don't have to, like, God willing, I never have to go through something like that because nobody wants to get into an altercation. But the knowing that you can is different. And even like women have told me, my wife tells me, like, I feel very safe with you because I know that you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
Does a woman with a guy who is frail and doesn't know how to fight, do they feel that same safety? I don't know. Maybe you guys can answer that for me.
The answer is no.
I'm just saying.
Not to mention, it's unfortunate, but I can't even say in this day and age, it's always been this way. If one of these douche alpha I say with a grain of salt because I can't stand that word, and if you consider yourself an alpha, you're probably a douchebag. And one of these guys comes up to you and they tend to see and like smell blood in the water, and they see the frail guy with a girlfriend. I'm gonna hit on this guy's girlfriend. What the hell do I care? What's this guy gonna do to me? You know what I mean? Like they're like sharks in the water. They can smell the fear and the weakness in people.
Because like I said, we're still animals, and at the end of the day, like those bullies, they don't pick on someone their own size.
Not.
They're gonna pick on the one that I know that I can beat.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be the frail guy.
And it's usually coming from a place, sadly, of insecurity. They either were bullied as kids or they went through some hardship that causes them to act this way. But still, it's inexcusable. And to me, having that strength, I think one of the most important parts is having the mental strength to say, I am capable, but I'm, like you said, I'm not going to use it unless I absolutely have to. And if you're using it to pick on people or to make people feel bad, then you're just an asshole.
Yeah, I don't think that's... We're talking about the ideal man. That's not what the ideal man would strive for.
But I'm making the straw man argument for these people saying that would rather have the emotional, intelligent man or this man. Like, yeah, there are bad sides of being both.
Yeah,
like,
and we're about to get into now arguing the other side. And there are certainly people who use the whole strength training thing and just getting as strong as possible to like bury their demons. You know, this is the classic guy that's like, therapy? The weights are my therapy, which I kind of agree with a little bit. But
you should also talk to somebody.
No, but it's yeah, exactly. It's like no, I don't need any of that stuff, any of that, you know,
psychology mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go in and like bury my trauma and just work out insanely hard.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about here.
Something that we should talk about before we go on to the next segment is training is kind of a way to let out. Like, we're men, we're freaking pumping testosterone, especially in your early 20s. You're pumping testosterone. You got to let that out somehow. Like, yeah, we get bits of rage. We get all these moments that it's hard to control your anger. It's hard to control your emotions. These controlled ways of releasing it, like strength training, jiu-jitsu, you mentioned, martial arts, are all good ways of releasing that, putting that energy into a good place. You're bettering yourself. You're using these things to, like, as an avenue to improve in these things, not just, oh, I'm going to go out there and, like, scream at people or, like, throw a hissy fit in traffic because I have all these things I don't know what to do with. So I think it's a great controlled way. Like, building strength is a great controlled way to like let out all these emotions and all these feelings. And
1,000%. And we are gonna have a whole section on why is it that in a world where we don't need this kind of stuff anymore, why so many men are flocking to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, strength training, all these things, running marathons. If you don't have to do it, then why are so many people flocking? I do want to get into that.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you bring that up because it comes back to why do you think men are pumped with testosterone, like biologically?
It's like you said, it's biological, it's evolutionary.
We're animals,
We're
exactly.
animals. We're trying to, you're trying to be strong. You're trying to, especially back in those days, the life expectancy was not more than 30. So you're using those 18, like 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, like that anger, the testosterone to go out and hunt and provide and, do all these things that need strength
and also for
energy.
Mate selection.
Mate selection.
Like, I'm sorry, but women are going to want the strong, healthy-looking guy. Again, this is different in this day and age, which is the perfect segue because now it's like the modern paradox. Like, number one, like we've said a million times, you don't, quote unquote, need to be strong. I can argue against that, but you don't need to be strong. Number two, now as a society, we value other traits in men: emotional intelligence, being a good listener,
vulnerability,
equality in the house. So it's like you could make an argument that now things have changed. Like, a lot of people listening could say, well, yeah, you guys are talking like we still live in hunter-gatherer times. Like, well, we don't need that anymore,
No.
So that's the paradox. But what happens with that is, I feel like because of this weird time that we're in, a lot of men are growing up, young men are growing up, disconnected from their bodies, from everything that you were just talking about. Because they don't have that outlet, then it's like bad stuff is gonna happen. They're gonna be like addicted to porn and playing video games all day and not moving their bodies and letting themselves get overweight, and then come the sicknesses, and it's like you're wasting away all these things that you should be channeling into doing something hard.
Not to mention the doing of the hard thing makes you feel a sense of pride, makes you feel a sense of belonging, like the serotonin boost, the dopamine boost, all these things you get from strength training. As somebody who in their early youth was a lot on their computer and all that stuff, it gets depressing, man. It's kind of like lonely, it's isolating. I think, like, and I always recommend it, if you're depressed, if you're feeling down, exercise, do these things, get some sun. All of these things help.
Make some friends, go do, like, have a social life.
Yeah, so you're not going to argue with me and tell me that. Of course, I'm not saying it's not good to be emotionally intelligent, to be smart. I think I'm somebody that fills in more of those brackets than I would like the cliche strength, meathead bracket.
Same.
So I'm not shitting on it at all, trust me. But I'm just saying balance, and it's a good avenue to let out. And I don't have time is just an excuse. I'm sorry, but if you have time to scroll on your phone for 30 minutes, you could have done a 30-minute workout. If you have time to play 30 minutes of video games, you could have done a 30-minute workout. Like, it's just this modern man. I don't know. I think we need to make some changes before it gets out of hand.
So why has this happened? Like, why are there so many? And by the way, we're talking about tens of millions of men in the US, I don't know about other countries, that are struggling, that are out of shape, that are like not dating, not having sex, all these different issues. And it's like, why? Because in my opinion, one of the reasons is we don't have an ideal anymore of what a man should be. If you approach women, that's harassing. If you identify too much with like the person who lifts weight or whatever, probably a jock who's not emotionally intelligent.
And wait, before I continue that, your wife judged you as a jock, meathead, douchebag because you would post a lot of selfies showing your abs.
Not a lot. A
few. They were nice abs.
A few.
They were nice abs.
I just want to make it clear. It wasn't this
But she's like, it was a little narcissistic. She was like, look at this douchebag posting pictures of himself in the mirror. There's no way I could have any sort of connection with him. And she pinned you wrong because you're an emotionally intelligent person. You're vulnerable. Like, you're all these things that don't just reflect on who you are from a strength training perspective.
Yeah, but you can't blame people for stereotyping
of
like
course
that.
Not.
Because
of course not.
8 out of 10 of those
You'd
gym
be right.
selfie guys, you would be definitely right.
Yeah.
And therein lies the problem. But my point being that I think that men have lost, like, if you grew up in the 50s, you knew what your path was as a man. Hey, I would probably graduate high school, probably go to the military or something, which would bring me honor and pride and all these great things. Come back, find a girl, get married, buy a house, like provide for my family. Boom, I'm good. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. Nowadays, it's like young men don't really know.
Yeah.
They don't even know, do I approach a woman? Now women are complaining online because they don't get approached. And it's like, well...
Yeah, sometimes you
can't blame the guys for not, not...
And I'm going to push back there because we always like to do some pushing back here. You said like, you have your structured path, but I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think everybody needs to have that same structured path. What if...
I disagree there.
Okay, well, what if somebody just doesn't want to have a family, doesn't want to have a wife, doesn't want to have kids? They want to, like, if that's for them is fulfilling, if they want to be, a single guy who hangs out, but he still has a family, maybe like an extended family, but it's not his directly.
Yeah.
They want to travel the world, they want to do all these things, and they don't want to have kids.
Okay, so do you think societies need norms?
I think they need norms, but I don't think for all. I think they need some norms, but I don't think it needs to be as rigid as it was like back in the 1950s. It's like, you don't have a husband by age 25, you're a failure. Like, I don't think it has to be that rigid.
I'm a firm believer that humans need boundaries. If not, we're completely lost.
Okay.
And some people might say, yeah, I'm the boundaryless, and that's like the classic
Welcome to
artist.
the Matrix, brother.
Well, that's like the artist, right? That's like, I have like this so much creativity and openness, and that would be the person that I'm going to live my life unconventionally. But in order for there to even be a word unconventional, there needs to be conventional.
Yeah.
And there needs to be, for me, I know for a long time in my 20s and even early 30s, I was like a little bit lost. I was like, I could do a million things. Which one should I do?
Yeah.
Should I could keep going with this business. Where's that going to end? I could go travel the world, which I did. I could do all these other things. And to me, like, it wasn't, what's been more fulfilling? once I set on a path and I was like, okay, this is the path. I'm gonna do this, and that. So I believe that we're straying away from what we're talking about, but the whole point being that if there is no ideal man, like let's say you're a young man and you're looking for like, what do I want to do here? You know, first of all, you need mentors. You need somebody to look up to. Typically, it's your dad, but a lot of people don't have that. So it would be somebody else in your community. But it's like, what is it? Is the guy that I look up to a single bachelor doing whatever he wants, banging a bunch of girls, or is it somebody? No, I'm serious. Like, and that could be your ideal.
No, but I mean that's usually the people, a young man's ideal because it's fun and it's this and that. And I'm not saying that that's. I'm just saying it's not so good to be so rigid and put people in these squares and tell people like, oh, if you're a woman and you're 40 and you haven't had a kid, you wasted your life. If you're a man and you're not looking forward to having kids, you wasted your life. Like, I don't think it's so necessary to have these rigidities. Otherwise, we wouldn't have, like you said, artists. We wouldn't have these eclectic people that do all these amazing things. I think it's good to have a role model. I just don't think it's good to necessarily have to be on that such a strict path and, set your value on whether you are these things or not, or whether you even want to be them.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people that they don't want to be a mom. I don't want to be this. I don't want to have this rigid structure. I don't want to have a job for 20 years. I want to be a freelancer.
I would argue, first of all, you don't really know what you want.
For sure.
Most people don't know what they want. I'm not arguing against your argument. There needs to be a place in society where we make space and nurture and support everybody. It doesn't matter what you decide, but I firmly believe that it needs to be like norms, because then that's why we have traffic laws. That's why we have ways of behavior. Like, you need to know that if you see a line, you need to stand behind the line, so you don't just like, things devolve into chaos if there are no norms.
But it's also why we have people getting into marriages they don't want to be into, people settling into a marriage, having a kid to save their marriage that they're miserable in. All of these things are like, because my family forced me into this, and now I'm in a place that I'm miserable and I didn't want to do it to begin with. But hey, these are the life steps. I have to get a kid and have a family and have my house. And it's like, maybe you don't want to do that, or maybe you prematurely ejaculated, and you went into it too early, and now I'm stuck in you feel stuck in a situation just because it was the quote unquote social norms. And I think we've completely gone off.
Yeah, no, but let's bring it. I'm gonna bring it back right now because my whole point being that if you look back in the 50s, that was like a big boom economically, and people like, you can actually afford to have a house and everything on one income, and that's getting into a whole nother argument. But I would argue that the percentage of men who felt like they had meaning in their lives was definitely higher then than it is now. Now, like you can see the statistic, the percentage of men that are unemployed, there's a huge percentage of men in their 20s that haven't had sex in the last year, that haven't dated one girl in the last few years, that never had a girlfriend. Like, if you look at statistics,
just look at the testosterone,
like,
testosterone levels.
The testosterone levels.
Themselves,
So that's my whole point being that I firmly believe that men, I don't know about women, but men need direction. That's why men do well in the military, because the military tells you, you got to do this, you got to get up in the morning, you got to be disciplined, you got to do this, you got to be fit, you have to work out. And if you do all these things, then you can make it to like lieutenant or whatever the next thing up is. And there's a hierarchy that I can aim for. But when you're playing video games in your mom's basement and smoking weed and doing all these things, it's like, nah, man, I just want to chill and like wherever life brings me, man. I got fired and whatever. I don't have a job now. I'll collect unemployment. Maybe next, like that guy, I promise you,
it's not
9 out of 10, they're not going anywhere. They're not fulfilled.
They're not fulfilled for sure. I'm not arguing that.
So that's all I'm saying. You need to have structure as a man.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that to an extent.
So now let's get even more controversial since we haven't enough already. Let's talk about what women want in a man, okay? Because obviously we're not women. You can tell that. But I'm gonna make my stance. Women say they want. I can see a lot of women listening to this right now saying, honestly, a guy being physically strong doesn't mean shit to me. Like, I don't care about that at all. I want a guy that's funny. I want a guy that's caring, that treats my kids well, that's emotionally intelligent. Okay,
those are all great things.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Wow.
I know you want that, but I would argue that if given the choice between that guy and the other guy who's also strong, again, one thing doesn't have to do with the other. you would go with the stronger one.
Yeah, I think the main issue with the argument and why people were getting so defensive is we're not saying you can't be both. Like, people are like, I'll take the
100%.
emotional and the guy that treats my kids and all this stuff. Not the strong. It's like, wait, hold on. Why can't I
Now,
be both?
mind you, maybe the women are saying, well, dude,
If you had to, like-
you're what you're saying is a unicorn. It's a guy who is
Yeah.
physically fit, makes a lot of money, is emotionally intelligent. It's like, come on, dude, we live in the real world. So if given the choice, I would pick the emotionally intelligent guy. And that I agree with. I
Yeah.
do agree with. What I'm saying is that, like, look at every smut novel. Look at every rom-com. It's like, is the guy
the
like
tech CEO
frail?
approached me and his bony wrist rubbed against my
I'm
neck.
sorry, but like deep down, there's something about masculine men
Yeah.
that at least physically and dare I say sexually
Whoa.
is attractive.
To you? Is that what you're like?
You know, so I'm just saying, again, comment below, please, like debate me, whatever you gotta do. But I've seen it and I've heard it from women, even when they're dating guys that are not, it's like, yeah, you know,
As I
if
wrapped
the
my
masculine
hand-
guy walks by, I'm gonna look at him and desire him. You know,
As I wrapped my hand against his 10-inch biceps, I realized I had never been more aroused in my life.
yeah, it's like I put my hand on his pigeon chest and
Yeah, it's always like, oh, he
Come on,
pinned
man.
me against the wall. And it's like these things that are like,
that are downright almost like,
yeah, a little
that's a
aggressive.
little aggressive, yeah.
The guy on the horse with a nice masculine body, it's like,
I'm sorry, but, and again, all
don't
I'm saying
disagree
is,
with
if given the choice, of course, the woman would have it all, where it's
Yeah.
like masculine, you know, takes care of themselves, strong, also emotionally
Nurturing.
intelligent, nurturing. And by the way, you girls are right to see the spectrum there, because the more testosterone a man has, typically, the less
emotional intelligence.
empathy,
yeah.
and all these things. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you have a child, your testosterone drops as a
Yeah.
man.
Especially
so-
a daughter, no?
I don't. I probably. I know
sure,
that your empathy. They've done studies on this. Like, men's empathy towards women goes way up when you have a daughter.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We needed that, guys.
We needed that. Yeah. So you are right to say that, like, the more like testosterone driven and masculine that a man is, usually
Also-
the less empathetic.
Also, we've been conditioned because nowadays I feel like younger men or men like our age, I know we're not younger, ha ha ha. All of these people are like, we're kind of teetering the line of both. We're trying to be emotionally available. We're trying to communicate our feelings. We're also trying to be strong. We're trying to do all these things. Whereas like our dad's age, our parents' age, or like in their 50s or 55, like, nah, don't be a pussy. We don't talk about shit like that. Hey, you just lift weights. That's kind of like, so that's been the cliche. And we're kind of skewing that. We're kind of like kicking that out the door.
1000%.
So-
we need to talk about how it's much harder for us, our generation, because we are trying to do it all.
We're trying to do it all. And we're the trendsetters. We're the new ones into this. We're the empaths trying to still be strong and do all these things. It's like trying to talk about my feelings without, oh, that's you feel like a little bitch. Oh, you look a little bitch. Well, you're
the
crying.
amount-
Well, you're crying. And it's like,
the amount
yeah, I'm
of,
crying. I'm a fucking person.
The amount of older men that I've met now that I have kids that say, I never changed a diaper in my life.
Oh, you're
Like,
so cool, dude. Wow.
it's
Tell me
like-
more about what a useless dad you are.
Well, in their eyes, they were the provider. Like, I'm going to make the money. I'm going to come home. I expect my meal to be made or whatever. And somebody else, whether it's my wife or a nanny or somebody, is going to be changing the diapers. I don't do that. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't know one man in this day and age of my friend group that doesn't change diapers, that isn't a present dad,
Yeah.
that, you know, doesn't try really hard to almost be like that equal in the home. So, you know, first of all, I think that's progress.
100%.
And second of all, I think it's hard. It's a lot of pressure, because I know that I sound like I have no sympathy for men who aren't physically strong, but I actually do, because, dude, at least you're at home trying to spend time with your kids, working a full-time job. I understand
if you're that,
how hard it is. If you're
if
that.
you're not doing either of the two, then go yourself, man.
Exactly.
If you're the guy sitting playing video games, watching his wife clean the house, help with the kids, and you're still not going to lift, what are you doing?
Hold that. Oh, man, should I go into that? I don't want to forget what I was going to say. Let's go into that. So a lot of these people that replied to me, it's like, yeah, you know, sometimes the man has to provide, and like there's just no time between the kids and the full-time job. Like, there's no time. He would have to sacrifice time with his kids. And I'm like, I get it. I legitimately
pushback.
get it.
I
have a few pushbacks, but let me finish the thought. Because he would have to either sacrifice getting up really early, now you're sacrificing sleep, which you can argue that's a bad thing, or sacrifice time. Like, this is the guy that gets home at 6:30 p.m., to put his kids to bed, but instead he would be at LA Fitness for another hour and come home like at 7:30 or 8 p.m. So I get that. But I want to say two things. Number one, was that guy working out before he had kids?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I would guess
If
not.
the answer is no, then what was the excuse then?
I would guess not, because you would have
Of
had
course
that.
not.
That would have been part of your identity
Of course
already.
not.
Yeah.
Of course not. The answer is obviously no. Number two, for every, this is what I answered some of these people.
So don't make excuses now.
Exactly. It was like, for every one of those responsible guys that's legitimately trying and has no time, there's 30 or 40 or 50 lazy ass guys that the only excuse is because I'm lazy and it's hard.
I'm not a workout guy.
Yeah, I'm not a workout guy. And I get out of work and I'm tired. It's like, and okay, fair enough. It is hard. Yeah, obviously, it's hard.
It's hard. None of it is easy.
Exactly. And that's a perfectly valid, not in my eyes valid, but it's a valid excuse. Like, I've worked my ass off. I just want to get home and just chill, dude. Yeah. Like, what's wrong with that? And it's like, we're asking you to do something way harder than that. Like, go to work for 8 hours and then go to a gym and bust your ass.
Yourself,
or wake up at 5 a.m. and do it. But that was just my rebuttal to those things. What was your pushback?
So we were raised by our mom alone, and she worked a job that was pretty demanding. She would get home like regular people, 5 p.m. And she stayed active. And the way you do it is you get these little tricks. Like, you can spend time with your kids and take them to the park and do pull-ups in the park and run with them in the park. And you can do all these active things. It's not a matter of, I get home and I have to be home with my kids and doing these things. It's like, you can do active things with your kids. So I do think it's hard, but I think that there are, avenues that you can take to navigate and do both. I think, like you said, it's you probably didn't work out beforehand, and I don't want to hear the excuse now.
Definitely not. I'll give you a perfect example. This Sunday, a few days ago, we went to the park, and the plan was we had the girls in the playground, and Karina would do a sprint. She would sprint to the other side of the grass, come back. I would go for a sprint. She would take care of the girls, and we literally did. We must have looked super funny. But it's like, hey, we got to be active today. Yeah. So we're going to run some sprints while the girls, and they were having a blast in the playground playing. And it's like, is that easy? No, you're going to have to do weird shit like that to, get up in the morning. Hey, you got them today? Yeah, no problem. And I got you tomorrow. Like, you're going to have to make sacrifices. But I think the bottom line that we're getting to here is effort. It takes extra effort. And here's where I sympathize with people. Life is already freaking hard, man, especially in this day and age. So you're burnt out, you work a lot, and then if you have kids, that's not easy. That takes up a lot of bandwidth. So it's like you just said, if you weren't working out before and you didn't build that into your identity and your habits, I have very low faith that you're going to now pick up the habit post-kids. I'm sorry, I know some of you listening will say, well, I did it, great, but I just think it's way harder if you didn't already do that before.
And unfortunately, and this is why I kind of like call BS on it, because those people tend to get their exercise life together when they get a health scare. And it's like, suddenly you have the time to do all this stuff. I realized
you make the time.
You make the time now
all
because,
of a sudden.
Because we get clients all the time, and it's like the flaky ones. It's like, I worked out, once or twice a week. They disappear for 2-3 years. Hey, look, I got to come back. Doctor told me I have this and that. What are your available times? All of a sudden you're not that busy. How convenient that you made the time. Now that, your life is in jeopardy because what? Your life is always going to be in jeopardy if you don't take care of yourself. So I feel like, do you want longevity for your kids? So like, do you want to be there longer for your kids? Do you want to be able to carry your kids? All this stuff, it takes a little bit more sacrifice. Unfortunately, nobody told you to have the kids if you're not going to take care of yourself. I think it's kind of selfish actually to not take care of yourself for the long run.
That's the biggest irony is that people say they sacrifice their health for all these other things, but it's like the more admirable thing that you could be doing for your kids.
What's that quote that's like, you say you do anything for your kids, but would you
live a
healthier life for them?
Yeah. Yeah, that hits deep because not many people do. Not many people do it because of like an altruistic, reason like that. Last thing I want to say about this before we move on to the next thing is that when it comes to this whole physical strengthening and what women desire and this and that, if I could give women advice, is like a physically strong man, we said a little bit earlier, it's not all about the physical and the capabilities and you can lift this and you can bench that. It's what getting that strong has done to that man. A lot of these people that I know personally that have made it a point that they're disciplined, they work out, that translates to other things in life too. They're just disciplined people. They tend to be more conscientious. So those are traits that, we admire people like that for a reason. We admire people that do hard things because dude, you had the discipline to wake up at
Yeah.
5 a.m. for 10 years and grind.
Yeah, I
And
admire the farmers, all these people that do all
Exactly.
these hard jobs and that require a lot of mental, physical effort, all these things, and they still have kids. And
so when you're looking for a mate, right, to somebody you want to have kids with, this and that, like, don't you want that guy that, like, he'll grind it out.
Yeah.
He'll be tired, but he'll still put your kid to bed. This is the guy that has more endurance, has more mental fortitude. So again, I think one thing goes with the other. We need to separate this whole thing that, like, you know, strong jocks, but not smart at all and not emotional intelligence, or like, you know, your typical brainy intellectual who doesn't work out.
yeah, and that, I think we could sum this segment up with saying the biggest issue that people had with the comments that they left and all that stuff is, like you said, they're isolating one or the other. At no point did you say, do men have to be physically strong while sacrificing their emotional intelligence?
Exactly.
Like, you just took it personally because you wanted to take it personally.
Exactly.
So it could be both, and
Well,
it
you
should
took
be
it
both.
personally because you're trying to defend your own,
Yeah.
you know, or yourself. If
Yeah.
you are one of those people, then you're going to want to argue your side.
Yeah.
But that's when it's like we can agree when something isn't correct. Like I think part of being a man is admitting when you're wrong, admitting when, like, okay, I could have done better. And I find myself doing that on a weekly basis because I'm me, as this guy knows. But for me, it's not about the discipline or the strength or any of that. For me, it's more on like the social and, you know, being empathetic and this and that. And so, yeah, I think that people are conflating the two. Fahrenheit, the competitor to Celsius, since they don't want to sponsor us.
Oh.
I think they would sponsor us if I just asked.
What the heck is Fahrenheit?
9/11, or was it 9/11 or 4/11? That book, Fahrenheit. 9/11?
I don't know.
4/11?
I'm more a fan of Kelvin.
You know what's one thing we haven't talked about, which I think is, if I'm being honest, as I always try to be in this podcast, is one of the reasons why you and I
Okay, I'm
strength
involved.
train.
Okay, vanity.
Ego.
Oh yeah.
So what I want to
100%.
discuss just really quick is like, number one is, can having like an ego be a good thing? And number two, do all these men who let themselves go have no ego? I've always been in awe of men who have no ego. Like, and I've seen them in our gym, and I've dealt with these men, and I'm just like it doesn't matter to you that I could crush you in a sprint, dude, or I can crush you physically. Like, it doesn't matter to you. That doesn't do anything to you as a man.
I think deep down there's a feeling of envy and like yeah, I would like to be that. I don't think it's just like I don't care at all. I think there's deep down a little feeling of, and I'm not gonna say for everyone,
but I know a few.
90% of people,
guys that do work out, and when you hit them with the old like, dude, like the girl next to you is doing your same weight. That's not embarrassing to you, and they're like, I don't care what they do. I'm here to whatever, and I'm like, that's kind of cool because God knows that I'm too machista for that.
But I think that ego starts when you're a kid and like you're carrying 2 chairs and your mom is like, wow, que fuerte está niño, like, wow, you're so strong. Men already carry that with themselves. Like, yeah, I want to be strong even as a kid. It's like you lift a little kettlebell, you're like, oh my God, you're such a strong boy. Like,
I don't think
that feels
the
good.
cynical aspect here is, well, you're probably just insecure. Like, if you're the type of guy that can't, has to lift more than the woman next to you at the gym, you're probably insecure.
Yeah.
And you're a little bit right that can come from insecurity. But I also think, again, this is how men historically measure up against each other. And this starts at childhood. Like, don't you want to be one of the top
the
people in your
fastest kid in
school?
class? You want to be the fastest kid in class? Everybody wants to be the fastest kid in class.
What boy doesn't want to be the fastest boy in class?
Everybody wants to be the fastest.
I'm sorry.
And that's why I think that whole no ego thing comes from, you already in elementary school, you were the slowest kid in class. So you already, why would I even try? Like, why am I going to put that effort?
No, that's the guy that says, like, well,
yeah,
he doubles down on other things in his life. Like, I'm the funny one, or I make more money than you, bro. So I don't need to be. So, I mean, I'm genuinely curious about that, the whole ego thing, because a lot of the reasons why I've done what I've done in my life comes back to ego, one of them, but two is also like, I don't like to feel limited. And this was what I was explaining to that person I was having the conversation with. I was like, when I was 18 years old, I was walking by, and we finished the movie, went with my girlfriend to a movie theater, and we're walking by kind of a dark alley situation. There's like 5 or 6 guys just kind of like hanging around, and I have to walk through that gauntlet, right? We've all done that. Walk through a gauntlet of sketchy looking guys.
Potential danger.
And I said to myself, because you're always thinking, by the way, I don't know if women know this, but men are always thinking about assessing danger, always, right? So
aware men.
I like to think a lot of men, but anyway. So I was assessing the situation, and I walked by, and I was like, I've never had to fight because I've always been a very aggressive guy, so people don't mess with me. But I don't know how to fight. Like, I don't actually know how to fight. The very next day, I went and I looked for martial arts studios around my neighborhood.
We went together.
We went together and I signed up because it hit me. I was like, what if one of those guys would have messed with your girl or would have said something? Like, I'm sorry, but if you don't have the confidence, you're just going to be one of those guys that just, and maybe people are thinking, well, yeah, you should walk away. That's the smart thing to do.
Especially the 6 guys.
But I started thinking, you never know. I might need to defend myself. So long story short, I joined martial arts. A few years later, I was a black belt. I did Krav Maga. I did Taekwondo. And then that confidence now came that like, okay, now they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, at least I'm going to fight back.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, that whole story, my whole point being that I don't like to be limited. I don't like to be the person who, oh, well, I can't do that. All the guys are throwing around the football, but I'm so frail that I'm
talking
not
with the women.
I'm
talking Love Island with the women.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to be limited, so I'm going to strive to do that.
Now, your ego sounds like it comes from other people. My ego comes from myself. Like, I refuse to not let myself, lift less than I did a week ago. Or I refuse to let myself not be able to do 15 chin-ups like I did. So
it feels bad.
For me, I don't care.
For myself too.
Yeah, I don't care if they're benching 225. I'm not a strong bencher. I'm not going to do it. Good shit, guys. Keep it up. But I'm not going to let myself become this frail version of myself or not be able to compete with the person I was and look back and be like, damn, I was so strong. Like, no, I refuse to let that happen.
This reminds me of? Remember that Disney movie about the kid who had the nerdy dad?
Just Like Dad?
So there's this movie where the kid had a nerdy dad. This is kind of sad, but I'm gonna reel it in. He had a nerdy dad, and there was like this like relay race or like obstacle course thing, a father-son competition, right? And it was a physical thing. So the kid was so embarrassed about his nerdy dad, who was obviously out of shape, that he had to hire a fake dad who was this super muscular guy. But whatever, it was a muscular guy.
He wasn't looking back.
He was in better shape. To me, in my head, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Me too, but it wasn't.
But anyway, I grew up watching it, and I'm like, my ego would never allow for my kid to not think my dad's the freaking strongest. My dad is the fastest.
That's the whole thing. Kids are always gonna crush. My dad could beat up your dad. Is like
exactly
classic.
Like, I would feel so bad as a man that my kids look at me and it's just like out of shape, slob, lazy. Like, no, I need to set an example.
No respect
I need to set an example. I'm not gonna do that. So, and it happened before kids. So I'm not even saying that it's all about my kids, but it's just another layer of that. So anyway, all that to say, ego, what's going on here? Like, how do these guys, I wish we had somebody on the podcast that didn't work out. I was like, well.
They'll just be sitting here like, can I talk
We're
now?
totally shitting
Can
on
I
them.
talk now, you assholes?
I don't think they would have a response to that about the dad, hiring the dad.
That's just sad. That movie really made me sad. When I
at the end of the day, the dad, when he found out, he was super sad.
It's heartbreaking. I've always leaned more towards being like emotional and funny and like being able to talk to people and, be the cheery guy.
But you have way more of an ego than people think you do.
But I have way more of an ego than people that
like with each other, we compete a lot.
Hyper competitive to the point that I almost don't like competing because I'm too competitive.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just chill, lay back, and compete against myself. Like,
that's why I can't fathom that. Like, if they line you up with a bunch of people and it's like you're not sitting there thinking, I want to beat all these. I'll destroy. Let's go.
I mean, we see it at the Be Fit events. I go way too hard. People don't want to play dodgeball with me. It is what it is. I'm sorry. I don't let kids win at Mario Kart. Sorry.
Damn, that's harsh.
I'm gonna teach you a lesson in every facet.
Okay. So we've discussed why in the modern world we don't necessarily need to be strong. But if that's the case, then why are so many millions of men gravitating organically towards martial arts, strength training, CrossFit, high rocks, running marathons? They're doing a bunch of stuff that they don't need to do by any means.
Especially like if you just work out and that's enough, right? Like
you would think. Exactly. So then why is that? And I think the answer is because men crave challenge. They crave something to overcome. I think it's part of being a man. I think that's what, when you're saying like pumped full of testosterone and stuff, like you've seen what young men are like they want to, rally
hit each other, like slap each other in the face.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's freaking do this. And when they do something, and like you're all trying to like hit with a rock the thing, and when you hit it, let's freaking go. It could be the dumbest thing, but you want a challenge to overcome. I really think that. So I think it's a perfect explanation to why people are gravitating towards these hard things that they don't have to do.
And I think these things that we mentioned earlier, forcing yourself to go through these things that are difficult it's not just a physical thing. It's 90, like I would say like 80% of it is mental. So you're not only training your physical body, you're training your mental, you're training all these things that are required, I think, as you go through life and you're going to go through these hardships. It's like
100%.
I don't want to be next to the guy or in war. I don't want to be in the trenches with the guy who has never gone through these hardships. I want to be with the guy who's battle ready. He's tested. He's gone through the things. He's cold plunged. All these things that are kind of like, they're just like tough. I'd rather have that guy next to me in battle than, the poet. No offense if you're a poet.
Yeah, and then again, the pushback. Well, we're not going into battle, but you mean it metaphorically too.
Metaphorically.
Because life will throw a lot of hard things at you. And if you haven't done hard things, then you're going to fold. And nobody wants that person. They want the resilient person.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think another reason why guys are doing is because a lot of men instinctively or from experience know that comfort culture has gone too far. Like we've taken it way too far, and they know that it's unfulfilling. Like you said it earlier, like the video games and that kind of like lonely life. I don't want to do this anymore, man. I'm done with it. I'm going to go out and do something hard. And you feel better about yourself.
Those people are always the ones that say, I felt so much better after. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, the science is there too. It's not like we're not talking from our perspective because macho. No, it's like scientifically, these are all things.
Exactly.
And then there was something that, I don't know if you wrote it or I don't know where I saw it, that if you have all this, like people want, what do women want? Emotional intelligence, empathy. Empathy without strength is fragility, right? And then strength without empathy is tyranny. I think, did you write that? Did I read that somewhere?
Oh, no. I didn't write it.
So you got to have both. It can't be, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It shouldn't be one or the other. It should be both. And you could say, oh, I just don't like the gym. That's fine. Like go run, be a runner, like do something else that pushes you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all metaphorical. And if you even think back to like ancient wisdom, the Socrates, or even before that, they were always talking about training the body, like train the body, train the mind, like one follows the other.
Yeah.
And there's wisdom there. Yoga is another great example. I don't know if you guys know this, but the whole reason for the physical movements of yoga were to calm your mind enough for that final part, which is where you settle down and just can think clear. So it wasn't about, first of all, the original yoga has nothing to do with the modern Western yoga. That's just, girls in Lululemon pants doing poses. It was more like you go through all that physical stuff. Okay. Now, what happens to your mind?
Grounded.
Everybody who works out knows this. What happens after you come back from a long run and when you do a hard workout, do some strength training, do some yoga? You feel like light. You feel now you can think clearly. There's something about that oxygen and blood flow.
Whenever I'm having like a bad day or going through something mentally, obviously, like I said earlier, it's good to talk.
Take it out on the weights.
I take it out on the weights. No, but like I'll go for a run. I'll work out, and you might not feel better right away, but you are able to think clearly and able to say, hey, what is the underlying root of this problem? It's not, I'm not taking out, I work out and I feel better. It's the clarity and it's the emotional capacity these things give you to think clearer and to make these better decisions rather than, I'm going to act aggressively with my testosterone and my anger and all this. Like, kind of got to have a release. Like, you have to have a release to be a better man, I think.
Yeah, and on that same token, I listen to a lot of podcasts, as you know, and I listen to a lot of podcasts from like very manly men because that's what I'm drawn to.
Just please
intellectually.
Not Joe Rogan.
We're not gonna go there, but every single one of them, I just hear this constantly. They have to work out intensely daily to be their best. They always say this, and they always start with it in the morning. Of course, these are people that have the luxury of working out in the morning, but it's like I start my day, I get up, I do that hard shit, and now my day I know is gonna go well. Like I did that hard thing, I feel better, I'm thinking better. And it's like you start to see the pattern and you're like, there's something to that. If everybody does, like everybody who is admirable does that, then there's something to that. And I completely agree with them. Like I find that myself as well. And on the contrary, when you go through a few days, you're in a slump, you don't work out, you're sedentary, you're eating like shit. How do you feel?
Even your body feels bad.
Terrible.
Even your body feels bad. So,
exactly.
And I'm not the type of person that I have to work out every single day or I feel guilt or I feel this. I just feel better when I do it.
Exactly.
So
it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I don't need any more testosterone.
I don't want any more testosterone.
I want it. I don't need it.
I want it out of my body immediately. I don't want any more.
I promise you I don't need it. That's for damn sure.
I don't want any more.
That's funny. I don't want it anymore. That's crazy, man. The triggers are insane.
So we've been talking a lot about, like you said, people are like, we're talking about the caveman era. No, there are measures, I think, to modern strength that's, being able to chase your kids around, carrying your kids, being able to, hey, your friend's moving, call on me, dude. I'm willing to help you out. It's not because I'm strong, it's because I'm capable. All these things are like, for me, why wouldn't you want to be that guy? Why wouldn't you want to be the one that people can call on? It's like, it's not a, oh, this guy is a heavy weightlifter and he does bicep curls with 70s. Who cares about that? It's, this guy carries both kids and you don't see him pasando trabajo to carry the other kids. Like, no, like for me, modern strength looks like that. Like being able to provide with your family, carry the kids, help your friends, move things around the house, all these things. For me, it's not almost non-negotiable.
And for me, more important than all that, even though that's all important, is what it does to you mentally.
Yeah.
Because again, I go
resiliency.
on this point, it's one thing you can't separate from the other. So the traits that discipline of getting strong give you, that's really what matters so much more. So when we talk about the original question, do modern men still need to be physically strong? I would argue yes, absolutely. Even though we're not required to, because we live in such comfortable lives, and they're gonna get increasingly more comfortable.
Yeah.
We absolutely do, just because of what it does to you in every sense of the word. So if we're striving to be the ideal man, you want to be strong physically, mentally, emotionally, and all these things get better if you're stronger.
Yeah.
And one last thing that we didn't talk about at all is that you don't need to be in the gym 6 days a week lifting weights to get strong.
That's what I was going to say next. It's not a matter of being a bodybuilder or strength training or hitting a new PR. It's putting yourself out there and this effort and whether you're a runner,
absolutely.
Whether you're a swimmer, all of these things. I'm not judging you based on your exercise or the way you carry it, all this stuff. You could lift 5s or 10s. I don't care. It's the effort, and it's the discipline. It's all these things, the mental resilience. It's not about what you do. It's about how much effort and how much you're willing to put yourself out there to do it.
Yeah, and just the fact that you are committing yourself to something.
Yeah.
Because yes, not everyone has to lift weights. We're associating strength with lifting weights and that kind of exercise, but martial arts or jiu-jitsu or even doing stuff like, I'm gonna make it a point to build something in my backyard and use my hands, carry things and break things, like that kind of stuff builds strength too.
And then we go back to women. Oh, the emotional intelligence. You see a guy chopping wood.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Come on. Some of these activities, it's in you. You're trying to deny your biology. It's in you to find that attractive.
Yep, absolutely. So that's all we're saying is, you said it best. It's effort. I think that everybody appreciates a man who is committed to something, who's putting effort into something, who, yeah, maybe I'm super busy because I'm in a stage in my life where I'm super busy, but man, I still make time 2 times a week. I got myself some dumbbells. I got myself a pull-up bar at home, and I at least make it a point to 30 minutes. That's all I got, but I'm going to try because I refuse to let myself get weak.
And to the guys listening, even if you feel like you can't or you don't want to or it's just not for you, or you already have a partner and they love you for who you are, I promise you they're going to see you they're going to be proud of you. They're going to be more attracted to you, not because you're lifting these heavy weights, just because they see the effort that you're putting in, especially if they know this is coming from a place that he's trying to be better for me, for our family, for himself. That's attractive to women. It is.
Absolutely.
Effort is attractive.
And notice how we haven't talked at all in this podcast about the aesthetic part of it, which matters.
Yeah, it matters. Women love some good V-cuts and stuff.
Yeah, but that's not... We haven't talked about it because that's not what it's about. Of course, it's like the cherry on top. Oh, you also look better. I mean, who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want a girl touching you oh man, by the way, whoa.
Or
hey, you're pretty strong, Bobby.
It's like creatine. But it's true. I mean,
it just feels good.
I think when I always mess with my wife because I tell her that she would love me no matter what, and I hate I told her, you're an unreliable source. I can't ask you about my physique or anything like that because, and I look back and I'm like, oh, when I was this wimpy, which she refuses to admit that I was wimpy when we went on our trip, but she's like, well, I didn't see you like that.
It's also you were wimpy for your
relative.
standards.
Yeah, it's relative, of course. But my whole point being that
I'm wimpy right now.
What was my point?
With that being said, guys,
no, not a good point.
Strength used to be a necessity, but now it's a responsibility that each guy should carry with themselves.
What was my point with the whole wife thing?
She loves you. She would find you more attractive. You think she finds you more attractive?
Okay. I was going to say. But when I ask her about it, she says that what I find attractive is the fact that you are always striving. You're always committed to your fitness. That's what I find attractive. It's not the physical. Of course, I'm sure that helps too. But it's the fact that the personality trait of this guy is disciplined. This guy doesn't miss workouts. This guy cares about his health. That's, I think, what's most attractive.
And it's a trait you're gonna hopefully pass on to your kids. Like that's
a good role
admirable.
model.
It's just
for
admirable.
sure. Yeah. So I think to close, even though it doesn't, like, the modern world doesn't require strength, now it's a choice.
Yeah.
But it's a choice that once people know you've made that choice, you stand out amongst the rest. You're kind of signaling to the world that, yeah, I choose to do these hard things. Like I'm prepared. I am strong mentally, physically, and I just think it just makes you better at everything else.
Yeah, and even though we didn't talk about the vanity aspect or the aesthetic aspect, if you work out and you look good, it's kind of like a billboard for the person you are. And it's like, hey, this person is fit. This person must take care of themselves. This person must have their head on straight.
You can't really fake that. I know that you can say steroids and all that, but no, you can't really fake that.
You can't really fake it.
You're a jacked dude. Like, you've put in the work.
You've put in the work. So I think that speaks for itself.
For sure.
With that being said, guys, we hope you enjoyed a very controversial episode of the Beef It Brothers podcast. And you're one of these guys, we're not shitting on you. I love all my friends equally, whether you're a nerd, recluse, or you're a meathead. I love all of you guys. I love you for your personality. So just, make an effort.
Damn. I wish you would have said that earlier. I didn't want it to come off as judgmental. I think we did a good job at that. We're talking about ideals here.
Oh God, my leg.
Hope you got a good day.